Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's very exciting episode of the Coworking Values Podcast, the podcast of the European Coworking Assembly. So, Željko, I've missed you on the last few episodes. Where have you been, man?
Oh, I've been around. I've been I don't want to say I've been too busy for the podcast because I love podcasting, or I don't want to say that I don't like you, and that's why I haven't been around. But, so I've just been around. Was that good enough?
That was. I really appreciate the specificness of that.
This episode is brought to you by Cobot, a leading management software for co-working spaces, office hubs, and flexible workspaces around the world. One of the best things about Cobot is that it is produced by people who manage a co-working space and know the ins and outs of the main problems and issues bugging co-working managers. So if you want more time for your coworkers and community, check out Cobot at cobot.me and take your co-working management to the next level.
Today in our studio we have the brains of the European Coworking Assembly, which is Jax and Jeannine. Do you want to introduce? I'm so nervous here. This is the first time we've had them all here. So, Jax, do you want to go first?
Yes, sure. Jacqueline, I'm probably one of the newer additions to the team, working on EF Week specifically. Exciting times for events at the moment. Traditionally South African, and love being part of the team.
Yeah, Jax she's very humble there. She's one of the main reason that stuff gets on the website in a consistent fashion over the last 6 months. So I think you're downplaying your role to the team. And Željko, do you know who Jeannine is?
Oh, I've heard about Jeannine. Let me just think about it. It's it's kind of the big girl from the UK. No, like the really tall one.
No, no. That would be
somebody shaking their hands. You mean the short, sweet Netherlands girl?
That's one way to put it. Yes,
Netherlandic. So, go on. Who are you, Jeannine?
Hi, I'm Jeannine van der Linden. I am I'm involved with the European Coworking Assembly, and I have a network of co-working spaces called De Kamer in the Netherlands. I am not Netherlandic, actually. I am American. But,
I've been working hard on that accent. So what we're here today is to this podcast is all about European Freelancers Week, which is known affectionately as the short code is EF Week. And we're going to introduce to you all the ways you can get involved. We're going to demystify some elements of it because as we run around over the last 5 years running this, and we say to people run events, they think they need to put on a Rugby World Cup when really it's way less hectic than that. And also we're very aware that the world with COVID and how we operate is a very different place to when we all started planning this at the beginning of January. So, Jeannine, do you want to give us a little bit of kind of the origin story of EF Week, which we'll refer to it as, because then this podcast will be much shorter?
Sure. The European Freelancers Week was started, ultimately it started with 3 people. That was Joel DeRoy, Francesca Pesci, and Matja Ruijs. And the 3 of them were all involved with freelancer organizations in their respective countries, like Germany, Italy, and Croatia. And they decided, wouldn't it be nice if there was a week in which the attention of all of Europe was focused on the importance and the role of freelancers in the economy in Europe. And that's really how it started. We have been, as the European Coworking Assembly, we were a supporting partner from the very first year all the way up until last year. And last year we took over the event and started to organize the event. Prior to that, it was organized by EFIP, which is the Organization of European Independent Professionals. So that is ultimately how the EF Week started.
So did the EF Week achieve any kind of results in the sense of were there many organizations or freelancers or co-working spaces involved in EF Week in recognizing it, and what did they, take out of it?
Oh, sure. I mean, the EF Week is the largest event involving freelancers, both online and offline. I mean, hands down, we're huge. There have been thousands of events with tens of thousands of freelancers attending it, organized by hundreds of co-working spaces, not to mention the ones in coffee shops, in houses, in restaurants, in hotels. That if what you mean is, have there been a lot of events, the answer is certainly yes. I'm not sure. I don't know what you mean when you ask me what are the results of it. The results of it have been, we published the Freelancers Manifesto, which was taken to the EU and also to various EU governments to demonstrate the impact of freelancers on the European economy. We're relaunching the manifesto this year for the same reason, because as we, once again, I mean, at that time we were dealing with the tail end of the recession. Now we're going into the COVID-19 crisis. And once again, most of the solutions, the difference between now and then, which did occur to me and has occurred to me several times this year, one can argue whether it's enough, whether it's clear enough. But the truth is that the support that was offered by governments to various businesses within Europe, nearly all of them included freelancers this time quite explicitly. Whether what they offered was sensible or not, is a political question that everybody can talk about. But there has been very little doubt, certainly here in Northern Europe, in the Netherlands, there has been no more treating of freelancers as if freelance was just another word for unemployed, which is very much the approach that was taken at the tail end of the recession. And so that certainly has been a great step forward. And it's why we are relaunching the manifesto this year and hope to get the freelancers to sign up en masse again, and so that can be carried forward, because we've certainly made a start. It's better than it was. And now we need to show what are the next steps that need to be made.
And this year is the, which year, how many Freelancers Week? Which edition is this?
There's actually some quarrel about that. There is some quarrel about that, but we have settled on this being the fifth year.
Fifth year. So Jax, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of the fifth edition of Freelancers Week, and you're involved for the first time?
That's correct, yes.
So how is it going?
It's a rather interesting journey. Being a freelancer myself, it's interesting to see how the Coworking Assembly and EF Week is working towards creating connection for freelancers in the market. And obviously with the pandemic and the COVID situation, it's really made the life of freelancers and many remote workers a little bit harder, because we can't necessarily go to co-working spaces. There's a little bit of a disconnect, and the EF Week is going to be an exciting opportunity for us to connect, even if it's on a digital platform. And being South African, it's also rather good to see what the markets are doing for freelancers, looking at the causes that we're struggling with worldwide, but also in Europe, because we are contributing factors to the economy everywhere. So yes, I think it's going well so far, and looking forward to October.
So basically, you mentioned that this EF Week is going to be digital based, and I'm assuming this is because of the whole situation and the pandemic and everything. But can you tell me, how is this being done? In the past EF Weeks, organization has kind of pushed all of the people that wanted to be involved to create events for freelancers within their space, both to kind of get people into their space, but also to get people together and involved and stuff like that. So what's different about this year's, and how is it going to be executed?
Well, in principle, it's very similar because it's still the opportunity for co-working spaces to connect with freelancers and other industry players. We might not be going into the space. Some co-working spaces will obviously be able to invite people to come to an actual event where it's permitted and it's possible, and social distancing is still possible. But from a digital perspective, co-working spaces can still host the event. The process will be very similar as previous years, where co-working spaces can go to the EF Week Freelancers website, register their event, and host it from there. We've got a wonderful resource lady called Elena, who's hosting her own events in Belgium, who can also assist with arranging some of the events. So I would invite you to possibly contact her through the EF Week website. So yes, that's basically how it will be working. And go to our website and have a look and get in contact so we can help you. There will also be a Friday call, which is happening, where lots of information is shared and support is given to co-working spaces who would like to take part. Because it might feel a little bit daunting. These are not massive produced events. It's basically what you're already doing, but theming it under EF Week.
The Friday call is an integral part of the whole thing, because there's at the time of recording this, there's 7 weeks left, and what we found over the last few years is saying to people, organise events is a very flimsy, hard thing to get your head around, and especially during COVID, people need a lot of, there's a massive time of uncertainty in the freelancer market and in the co-working and co-living market. So by bringing people together on a support call once a week, where as a community we can work out what's working, what's not working, and say, oh, look, we need some more co-working spaces in Bulgaria. Do you know anyone? Oh, yes, I'm from France, but my mate runs 19 in Bulgaria. I'll put you in touch. It is a really good way of bringing people together. And just knowing what else is going on in the freelancer and co-working and co-living communities and connecting each week will help people get the, both the event organizers and the attendees get the most out of these events. So, Jax, where's the best? I mean, what's the best thing for people to come to you to? Because sort of people know what not to come to me for, and they know what to come to Jeannine for. And Elena was on last week's podcast, and she is the event princess. I hope that's all right to call you that, Elena. But how can people make the best use of your talents, and what should they come and ask you about?
Well, anything relating to marketing, reaching out to people, driving awareness of their events. The more we also learn about the events that they're hosting and the issues that they're dealing with, the more we can amplify it on the EF Week and ECA pages as well, because it's a collective effort. We want to know what people are doing, what they are struggling with, what they are discussing, because it just makes everything we can share and talk about so much more interesting.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about the blog, because that is the lifeblood of what we're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have a blog post or blog section on the EF Week page, but also the ECA pages, and we're really trying to update it and make the content as interesting and relevant to freelancers and co-working spaces as possible. We are pushing out a blog or two every week, but contributions from various spaces and players in the market would really be appreciated, because it gives us more well-rounded content to share with our base.
And I'm going to add a little bit to that too. Is what we're looking for is not, and I know you're out there listening, is not, hi, I'm mega freelancer with my helicopter and Lamborghini doing the hustle. We're looking for like regular human beings who are in the freelance universe in Europe, because those stories are much, much more relatable, and things about what you've overcome or what you're working on are really important. And if you're on a co-working space or a co-living space and you have people in there, if you get in touch with us, we can interview those people and then turn it into a blog post. So it's very, very easy. And it's just in lots of projects we've done over the years, where there's people who are, I want to say like in the field, actually doing the work. They're really, really interesting, and they're much more relatable and inspirational than Megatrons showing off how they do. Can you say a little bit? I should have asked you this, Jax, but can you say a little bit about Rachel and Kofi and that story there? Because that's a great example.
Absolutely. So Rachel, and I've actually had a call with her this afternoon. She has recently launched her own cooking, food, hospitality initiative. And she's been working with Urban MBA, where Kofi is her mentor and has helped her in the pandemic to take her passion, where she wasn't sure where she wanted to move forward with a career, and turn it into an actual new business. And the energy that she has and the inspiration that she is sharing with fellow freelancers and entrepreneurs is just brilliant. So these are the real stories that we are looking for, people who's actually come from the corporate environment, were really affected by the pandemic and actually came out way better than what they started off, and the searching for themselves that they've done in the process. So she's been an absolute great example of the content and the stories we are looking for. And I'm sure there's lots more other stories that we would just love to hear from.
On our European Freelancers Week website, or the website where you're listening to this podcast, there's ways of getting in touch with us. And so you can either write something and send it in to us, or you can set up an interview and we will interview you and do the work. So then post it as that. Is there anything else I should have asked, Jax, that I haven't highlighted from your repertoire?
No, I think it sounds good. But I think to your point around the blog and the content, we're happy to do the interviews. And again, it's anything that we can make practical for co-working spaces or for freelancers, advice, to real stories. That would be what we are looking for.
Thanks very much. So Jeannine, Jax has told us about blogs and content and getting in touch and events and stuff like that. And, we've developed this thing of getting 20 European countries to run 20 events in their countries, and having the reach around Europe be around co-living and co-working spaces and any other type of space. So don't feel excluded if you don't run a co-working or co-living space. But what can you say about like getting the community together and all? That's a really vague question, but go with that.
Well, I think this year we focused on trying to get 20 countries to have 20 events each, and there's really sort of, other than that it's cute 2020. I think that it is important that we hit all of Europe. It's important that we make clear that it's not just the EU. It's important that we go right across Europe to focus attention on the freelancers and their role in the economy. And also, I think it's also important, one of the things about the Freelancers Week that's extremely important is that I think that freelancers, certainly my coworkers who are freelancers, don't ever stop for a moment and reflect on the fact that they are, in fact, they are the people creating the new solutions. All of the adjustment to working online, that whole path was blazed by freelancers. And I think one of the other values of the EF Week is for the freelancers to stop and reflect on, we are every day creating the world. And now what kind of a world do we want to create? Because right now we have an opportunity to do that. And I think that's an extremely important part of the EF Week this year.
That's great. So Jax, where can people support European Freelancers Week 2020 online?
Yeah, that would be great. So we're on all prominent social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook at Freelancers Movement, or on LinkedIn on Freelancers Europe, and the same for Twitter. Please follow us and share the posts so that we can just share it as wide as possible and reach as many co-working spaces and freelancers during this period.
Well, I think that kind of circles the entire EF Week for this year, or to talk about EF Week, and we'll see how it goes. So, can you just give me an overview of 3 main points that we need to keep in mind as far as EF Week? When is it, and how to get involved?
EF Week is from October 16th to 25th this year. How to get involved is honest. Go to the website and hit contact us, and one of us will come and find you. And I think the only other important, I think this year, with respect to events, I think everyone in Europe is a little hesitant, very nervous. A lot of events have been canceled. A lot of sponsors, organizers, and attendees are in a place where they're not really seeing a lot of leadership. And I think that the EF Week is providing that leadership. I think that we are embracing this world today as it is now, and not fighting about what the world was like and what it should be like. And that's really it for the EF Week. It's going to be, as it always is, it is going to be a week-long celebration of freelancers and their role in Europe, and as we are now and as we are then.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So everybody get on the EF Week website and see what it's all about, see how you can get involved, and we'll see you on EF Week. As far as this podcast, Bernie and I will talk to you next week. Keep in mind to visit the European Coworking Assembly website and hit subscribe on the newsletter and listen, read, and support.